All right, let's be honest. Have you ever felt that sinking feeling when you're staring at a folder full of files and you have no idea which one is the actual final version? Yeah, me too. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Git and GitHub. We're going to turn these kind of intimidating buzzwords into what will probably become your favorite, most powerful tools for literally any project you work on. So let's dive in.
So here's the game plan. First, we're going to talk about a problem that I'm guessing every single one of us has run into. Then we'll meet the solution. We'll break down how you can use it all by yourself, then level up to working with a team. After that, we'll get into how to try out new ideas without breaking everything, and finally, we'll see how all this stuff connects you to this massive worldwide community of builders and creators. Okay, so first things first, let's paint a picture. You're deep into a big project, right? A few weeks have gone by, you're making progress, but your project folder, well, it's starting to look a little chaotic. Something like this.
Oh yeah, a true classic. We've all been there, haven't we? You've got like a dozen copies of the same file, each one named something slightly different, and you are absolutely terrified to delete any of them. This whole manual version control thing, it's just stressful. It's messy, and honestly, it leads to some pretty big problems.
I mean, how are you supposed to know what actually changed between version 2 and version 4? And if you email that file to a friend to get their feedback, how on earth do you combine their changes with yours without accidentally wiping out hours of work? And what about when you get that brilliant, crazy new idea? How can you try it out but still have a safety net to fall back on if it doesn't work? It's these exact questions, these frustrations that led to a much, much better way of doing things.
Okay, so let's just leave all that chaos in the past and talk about the solution. To fix all those problems, what we really need is a system. You can think of it as a time machine for your projects. And that system? It's built on two key ideas, Git and GitHub.
So at its core, Git is something called a version control system. And that's just a fancy way of saying it's a time machine for your project. Seriously, every time you save your work in a very specific way, which we'll get to, it takes a snapshot. It's like a perfect permanent photo of what all your files looked like in that exact moment. And the best part? You can jump back to any of those old snapshots whenever you need to.
Now, this is probably the single biggest point of confusion for beginners, so let's clear it up right now. What's the difference between Git and GitHub? Well, think of it like this. Git is the actual time machine. It's the software that lives on your computer. GitHub, on the other hand, is like a secure off-site vault for your time machine. It's a website up in the cloud where you can store a backup of your project and its entire history. So, easy way to remember. Git is local, on your machine. GitHub is remote, on the web.
Okay, so a time machine sounds cool, but how do you actually use it? Let's walk through the basic workflow. It's super simple, really powerful, and you can start using it today, even if it's just you working on a project by yourself.
It all starts with something called a repository, or repo for short. Just think of a repo as your project's main folder. It's the dedicated workspace that you tell Git, hey, pay attention to everything that happens in here. And once you do that, Git starts monitoring every single change.
So the basic process is this really simple three-step dance. First, you use git add. This is where you pick which changes you want to include in your next snapshot. Think of it like putting specific items into a cardboard box before you ship it. You don't have to include everything. Second, git commit. This is you sealing the box and writing a clear label on it describing what's inside, like wrote the first paragraph of chapter 1. That's it. Your snapshot is now created. And finally, git push. This sends that perfectly labeled box up to your secure vault on GitHub. So the rhythm is add, commit, push. That's the core loop you'll do over and over again. And look, if you ever feel a little lost or you're not sure what's going on, you have a secret weapon. The command git status. Just type that in and Git will give you a perfect summary of everything. It'll tell you which files you've changed, which ones are ready to be saved, and whether you're up to date with your GitHub backup. It's like the main dashboard for your entire project. All right, using Git for your own stuff is a total game changer, for sure. But where it really shines, where the magic truly happens, is when you bring a team into the mix. The whole thing works on a really simple rhythm. You finish some work, you push your changes up to that shared vault on GitHub. Your teammates do the exact same thing. Then, when you're ready to get all of their latest work, you just pull it down to your machine. This simple push and pull system keeps everyone on the team perfectly in sync. No more emailing files back and forth. But wait,
This always leads to the big question, right? It sounds like a recipe for disaster. What happens if you and a coworker change the exact same line in the exact same file? You change a sentence, they change that same sentence. What happens when you both try to save?
This situation is called a merge conflict, and honestly, it shows you just how smart Git is. See, instead of just guessing which change is right and maybe deleting someone's important work, Git just pauses. It basically raises its hand and says, hey, I see two different changes to the same line here, and I have no idea which one you want to keep. Could you, the smart human, take a look and tell me what to do? So it's not an error. It's just Git asking for a little help.
Okay, now we get to what is, in my opinion, one of the most powerful and, frankly, brilliant features of Git. It's called branching. This is the secret sauce for how professional teams build really complex stuff without everything descending into chaos.
So imagine your project as a single timeline. Branching is like creating a parallel universe. You can create a complete copy of your project at any point in time. The main, stable, working version of your project lives on one timeline, usually called main, but when you want to try something new or fix a bug, you create a new branch, a whole new timeline that splits off from the main one. This gives you a totally safe sandbox to plan. And if your experiment is a total disaster, no problem. You just delete that branch and the main timeline is completely safe, totally untouched.
And creating one of these parallel timelines, it's ridiculously simple. You just type git branch and give your new timeline a name, like fix the typo. And that's it. One command, and you've got a brand new, safe place to work with zero risk to the main project.
Now, just creating the branch is step one. You still have to actually go there. That's what Get Checkout does. It's like you're literally stepping into that new parallel timeline. The moment you check out that new branch, all the work you do, all the snapshots you save, they only happen in that timeline. It keeps everything completely separate from the main, stable version.
So what happens when you're done? Your new feature is built, it's tested, it's perfect. Well, you just switch back to your main timeline and use one more command, git merge. This command takes all of that beautiful work you did in your separate timeline and seamlessly weaves it right back into the main project. It's just a really elegant and organized way to handle change.
So we've seen how you can use Git for yourself and how to use it with a team, but now I want you to zoom out with me for a second. Because these tools, they aren't just for managing projects. They're the literal backbone of a global movement that has totally reshaped how software, and a lot of other things, get made.
You see, GitHub is the biggest home in the world for something called open source projects. And what that means is these are projects where the source code is just out there. It's freely available online for anyone to look at, to learn from, to use in their own projects, and even to help improve. We're talking about everything from tiny little tools to the massive operating systems that run our phones. It's a whole universe of shared knowledge.
So how do you actually get involved? Well, it all starts with something called forking. Say you find a project on GitHub you think is cool, and you want to help out. You click the fork button, and bam! Instantly, you have your very own personal copy of their entire project in your own GitHub account. From there, you can do whatever you want. You can fix bugs, add new features, all on your own branches, of course. And when you think you've made something better, you can send a proposal to have your changes merged back into the original project so that everyone in the world can benefit. It's amazing.
So think about where we started. We went from a totally chaotic folder on your desktop to a disciplined way of working, to a powerful way to collaborate with a team, and finally, to getting a passport to an entire global community. These aren't just a bunch of weird commands to memorize. They're the fundamental tools for building and creating in the modern world. So really, the only question left is, what are you going to build with them?